Hi everyone, and welcome to another Pick a Card reading brought to you by 1millionnights.com. This Pick a Card reading has a special subject. It is for the upcoming new moon taking place in the sign of Leo, either on the 18th or 19th of the month, depending on where you are on the planet. And as all new moons, this one represents a powerful new beginning in at least one area of your life, depending on where Leo falls for you personally. And as I have mentioned in the horoscopes, this new moon is extremely powerful because it is an active power player. It holds a very strong celestial conversation with Mars and Eris and South Node and the Galactic Center, all of them speaking from fire signs. And at the same time, the Sun and Moon are not alone in the sign of Leo, they're conjunct Mercury, so this is a really strong and influential energy, which promises a lot of breakthrough, but this is where the breakthrough is not necessarily external, as in, for example, a karmic event just entering your life and there it is, everything is taken care of, but rather it is internal, because this is a very action-oriented energy. So chances are that whatever this new beginning or these new energies entering your life are, they depend on your action, on your courage, on your inner configuration, on your feelings, for example. And that is why this is, on one hand, naturally fated, because, a grand fire trine is a fated event, but on the other hand, it also depends on your choices, your preferences, what you want to accomplish in your life. So this is almost like fate asking you, how would you like to go further into the future? What are your preferences? What is important for you? So depending on that, it is that seed of intention that you're going to plant in the universe that is actually going to conjure up this new beginning in your life. So this Pick a Card naturally tries to take a look at how this new moon can influence your life. So just take a look at the 4 piles of cards for a couple of seconds, or as long as you need, and then choose one which sparks up your intuitive senses the most, then jump straight to the interpretation. The timestamps can be found below in the comments. Thank you so much for being here with us, and in the following I'm going to proceed with the interpretations of the 4 piles of cards. For the first pile, we have the Emperor clarified by the Devil reversed. Now for those of you who have chosen the first pile, this new beginning isn't really external, it isn't really material, or it isn't something that has a massive impact on your material life. Material life here meaning, for example, money, finances, career, job, health, daily routines, etc. It is more like an inner psychological empowerment, and at the same time perhaps a very powerful inner realization which will have a massive effect on your future. Now the Emperor is without a shadow of a doubt you, your soul, and even your ego, in a very healthy sense, of course, who has to sit, on the throne of your life, in the sense that you are without a shadow of a doubt the king of your own castle, the supreme ruler, the emperor of your own life, including your destiny, including all your relationships, including your place in the world. So all of this depends much more on you and what you want to accomplish than on anything else. But this is where the Emperor is in upright position. So basically, you tick all the boxes for a very balanced, disciplined, responsible, wise, diligent, all the good qualities of how a leader, a king, an emperor should be. And you weren't exactly born like this. All of how you are inside of you, your attitude, your life view, your perspective, your highest philosophies are a result of your life experience, are a result of your open-mindedness. This is how you went through all your life, good and bad, and you are someone who actually learned the lessons, who embodied the lessons, who listened to wisdom regardless of where that wisdom sourced from. You were someone who fought your battles, who didn't turn away from hardship, who didn't cower away when facing really hard challenges, especially emotional challenges or inner challenges. As the devil reversed the notes, you had a lot of inner conflicts throughout your life. There were many times when you really doubted yourself, when you doubted your true worth, when you doubted even your survival abilities. So everything that actually happened to you, and all of the most important karmic pivotal moments of your life shaped you into who you truly are, because you were someone who was always open to the lessons, and you strive to actually embody them and use them in a very practical way. And as an emperor, if life experience is the biggest treasure we can actually gain in material existence, in earthly existence, better said, well, then you were someone who shared it with everyone who you loved, even total strangers. So many times, you weren't actually the emperor of your own life, as in taking care of yourself, but you were there helping others, supporting others, sharing your strength with others. So, this is actually a valid reflection of who you are, deep in your hearts of hearts, not as much who you think you are, not as much, who you are in your mind, or who other people see you as. This is a varied reflection of your heart, who you are in your deep core of basically your soul, of your being. And who you are is a very righteous, very patient, diligent, kind, gentle, compassionate emperor who usually fights with mercy and compassion and not sovereignty and strength. But this is exactly what this new moon is going to change in your life, in your own personal psychological configuration, because the time has come when you have basically no other choice, no other option, psychologically and spiritually speaking, than to finally start living your own life, for yourself. This isn't anything self-centered, because the devil reverse represents that this was the biggest illusion in your life that is being made clear to you at this present moment. And it's not even that much about the present moment, because this process of discovery, revelations, and taking the spiritual blindfold off of your eyes started taking place approximately 6 months ago, and a lot of things regarding your inner truth and your highest principles started slowly but surely changing. And this is where you can actually see that it is your biggest duty in this existence, or better said, any existence. It is to take care of yourself, of your own needs, of your own being, because that is exactly why you were bestowed the crown over your own life. By taking care of yourself, by thinking for yourself, by making choices, and being your own critic, but a very fair and righteous critic, not just beating yourself into submission, like a very, very fair, rational, logical, and compassionate critic, a constructive critic. By doing all of these gestures and acts of self-care, self-service basically, you are actually making the universe a better place, because the universe is full of energy, as you know, and energy is finite. It isn't, absolutely unlimited as some people might think. There's a measure in everything, and if you take care of yourself, your own life, your own being, you're taking the burden off the universe, and the universe doesn't have to make complicated choices in your place. And maybe this was one of the things that you imperatively need to change. You can no longer be, just a leaf in the wind, a leaf, floating on water, where the elements take it wherever they want to. This is where you have to embody to be the emperor of your own life. Surrendering is absolutely fine at times when you have an impossible goal that you want to accomplish, and then of course you ask for divine help and divine intelligence, because without a shadow of a doubt it is way superior than our own. But that cannot be applied in everything in life, because whenever you surrender absolutely everything, well, then the universe won't take you seriously anymore. It will simply dominate you. It will enslave you, because that is the message that you give it. It thinks that you desire this. So that is why right now you have to body all your brilliance, all your strength, because you're such a resourceful, creative, intelligent, responsible, and really, really psychologically very, very strong and stable person. You finally have to be the emperor of your own life and banish all fears and all illusions, the devil reversed, that doing this is selfish, self-centered, etc. No one should be a slave to, not even the universe. And the universe only enslaves you when you basically allow yourself to be defeated. But there are some things in life, especially earthly life, because all of us are in this massive earth school where we're embodied spirits learning valuable lessons. So there are some battles that you need to fight. There are certain boundaries that you need to protect and not allow anyone to basically cross it ever. When you say no, it has to be no, because you embody all this spirit of duty and responsibility, which is beautiful, which is an alchemical gold. It makes you so valuable as a soul and a spirit. And if you're blind to this, well, then you can never be a true emperor, a truly free being in your life, because with great responsibility comes infinite power. But if you only take on yourself the responsibility and you just dish out that power to the universe, well, that is like a gift. So the universe, of course, it accepts it. But you cannot surrender your power to anyone, not even the universe, when you are in flesh and blood, when you're here in an earth school, because that is your fuel, that is your resource, that is your motor. You need it to exist, survive, to be okay in your life. And absolutely, your life needs to be somewhat comfortable, because that is how we human beings operate. And we are not living in times where we can just surrender everything because nature will take care of us, because of our vibrations and, our intuitive gifts where we can communicate with nature. We don't live in those times when that is possible in an idealistic way. We're surrounded by concrete. Our mental spheres are enslaved by the internet. So basically, most of us cannot escape civilization as we desire to. So it's either we adapt or we become prey. And because you have truly invested so much time, effort, sacrifices into being responsible, diligent, embodying all the higher qualities of an emperor, well, now you have to accept the power that comes with it. For other people, it's usually the other way around. They ask for power, they get it, and then they fail miserably. Some, of course, don't. For you, it was the other way around. And what does this tell you? That you're wise beyond your imagining, because what an incredibly powerful spiritual karmic tactic this is, to do the hard work before and then reap the harvest. But you got so lost in the work that you totally lost track that there is even a reward or a harvest. So right now, the blindfold is off, the devil is reversed, you're not trapped by the illusion of piety and etc. So the devil reverse can also represent that maybe you had a very religious influence or a toxic religious parent in your life, which really kind of beat you into religious submission, that we are all just grains of sand in the eyes of the universe and we're just slaves and we have to fear it. This is being purged out of you. So right now, your throne is ready, your scepter of power is there, claim it, and do whatever it is that you need to do in your life, in your destiny. You cannot fear anything anymore, because this is where you're not following the carrot on the stick that the universe, uses to guide you, but rather this time you're an emperor. It's the other way around. You go and do what you need to do, and the universe is the one supporting you from behind. And unless you don't hear these words exactly, you might still question yourself, you might still question your worthiness, your power, etc. But this is where you just have to shut all doubts and be the king who you were made to be, basically. You worked for it, you suffered for it, you learned, you sacrificed. So now this is your reward, you earn it, so you have to use it. And another layer of this energy, which is equally as important, well, when you're a king, it is you who make the rules of your own life, and it is other people who have to accept your compromises and not the other way around, because you're not dependent of you're a king. You're sitting on your throne for which you worked for very hard. So you're not dependent of people, you're not dependent of anyone's compassion, love, sympathy, company, etc. So absolutely not. This is where compromises are gonna be just one-sided. If others accept your terms and conditions, it's absolutely fine. If not, then everyone can go their own separate ways, because you're not like other people. Not because you were born as a king, but because you worked for it. You took in all the wisdom, so you did everything right, and other people naturally didn't, because you're a very, very rare specimen, so to speak. So of course, 99% of people in your life just simply can't understand you, and that's why you have to be the one to propose the compromises. And if they accept, that's fine, because it's your terms and conditions. You will respect them maximally. If not, everyone has to go their own ways, because this is where you're having so very unhealthy and not really equal and mutual relationships in your life, because you refuse to show your authority. You refuse to stand up for yourself out of compassion, but there are times in life when compassion is not really good, when it's toxic for the one who gives it. But anyway, this new moon is gonna awaken the dormant emperor inside of you, and that is where a totally new life is going to begin, mostly psychologically. Not only are you gonna clean up your life from every single perspective, the devil reversed, but also a wonderful, strong, unbreakable new relationship starts with yourself. This is where you are gonna accept yourself as the king that you are, and finally grab the scepter of divine authority that the universe rewarded you with for all your work and sacrifice. For those of you who were guided to the second pile, your cards are the Judgment and the Two of Coins. Now I know that the very beginning I said that it is very unlikely to be an external karmic event, but for you guys, that is exactly what these cards are talking about, because the judgment is when all of a sudden you become aware that karma, fate, destiny, the karmic elements in your life are starting to shift and turn, which also represents that it is time for a certain kind of harvest. And the Two of Coins speaks about your material regeneration. Now, the combination of these two cards also exemplifies the past, where you might have had a really rough time materially. It may have been that you lost your job, your livelihood, your career. It may have been that you were simply disconnected. You didn't really feel aligned to what you were doing, or the people, the colleagues, the environment, and you had to stop for your own sake. Or this could be losses, divorce. It can be anything that might really have a strong negative impact on your material situation. But you already suffered that, so on one hand, you're not under the influence of whatever happened to you, because you processed it, you released it, you healed yourself. So on the other hand, the healing and, finding out, through soul searching and a lot of inner work, who you truly are and what your true desires and goals in life are, was a massive blessing. And, from this perspective, it was natural for you to lose your stability, your livelihood, your finances to crumble down on you, to give you the moment and, of course, the opportunity to just go within yourself and reconfigure, rethink, reanalyze everything in your life. Of course, this is where the judgment comes into play. That process of rediscovery has done. You're aligned with your inner truth. You know what you want to do. You know the life that you want to have. You know that freedom and the small joys in life are so very, very important. Much more important than the big joys, that massive moments of glory one can have. Because the small joys simply feed your soul each and every day, and they give you the strength to carry on, to face any challenges, any obstacles. They are like our soul's healing salve, which actually does make the pain go away, or at least be tolerable. So this is something that you really, really want in your life. So perhaps for you personally, this grand fire trine may influence, one way, awaken your inner clock, where the timer is finally showing the universe, the divine intelligence, that the time is up. Divine timing has to enter your life right now and enable you to slowly but surely build that life which you desired for yourself, to start living life based on your highest principles. And since, all these small pleasures are so important, and you actually realize that and you embodied that inner truth, this is where certain acts of self-sacrifice and allowing others to morally kind of dominate you and use you and take away, for example, your you time, your comfort, your rest, or whatever provides you with that small joy of life, that life is over and you're never ever gonna go back to that again. So this will start the construction of your new life. But the Two of Coins, it is a very lucky energy, because things are gonna come together almost miraculously, but it's not instant. The Two of Coins, it is Jupiter in the sign of Capricorn. So this may mean that your new life is going to be constructed, built up until December 2020, when Jupiter leaves the sign of Capricorn. So that might represent that the construction process, the regeneration, the recovery, the Two of Coins is finally going to be over, and your new life, your new reality, your new material situation is going to be lived from that moment onwards. But we can't also ignore the Judgment card, because that can represent a massive karmic help. It can represent a new person entering your life, because sometimes the two of Coins can represent an ally, an influential person who helps you rebuild your life, or a partnership, or a new job, a new career, but the kind of career where someone expressively wants you. It is not you who apply for the job, but you're invited. It might mean that your notoriety, your expertise in something has spread, and then it will reach the right ear and someone will make you an offer, for example. It can also represent the help of a person. It might not have anything to do with work or career, but it can just be a financial help that they offer you, or a support, or for example, Two of Coins can sometimes represent a place, as in an accommodation, a house, them sharing their resources with you. It can also represent a transformation of the status quo. It can also represent embracing a different lifestyle. But either way, the Judgment card represents that it's karmic, and that it's like a divine help, like a divine intervention, a breakthrough moment. Yes, it's not gonna be, as massive, as big, or for example, it's definitely not gonna be a lottery win, but it will be so helpful, influential, and you are going to be under someone's protection. May that someone be simply the universe, your guides, whatever the divine is for you, or it can be a person, a specific person. But either way, in conclusion, the power of the new moon, this is exactly what's gonna conjure up in your life, in your personal situation, a karmic moment, a karmic breakthrough, where you can finally start regenerating materially, financially, or it's gonna be like some kind of help to offer you everything that you need to start rebuilding your life in a very practical, palpable, material manner. It's not really psychological, it is material, as in money, values, goods, etc. Now, of course, for those people, because some people might have already begun the reconstruction, but it may have been that the reconstruction was so very slow and stagnating. If the Two of Coins can represent a project, a business idea, a collaboration, that might have already started, but it's not on track yet. So the Judgment can represent that will start to pick up speed, it will start to work, and it will start to produce palpable results. Either way, this Leo new moon is gonna be really important, significant, and very optimistic in your life, because you will see the very first signs of progress, and that means that the light of the end of the tunnel is gonna be brighter than the sun, so it will dispel all your fears, all your insecurities, and finally this will be the moment when you're gonna forget your losses and all the pain and suffering that you have endured. For those of you who have chosen the third pile, your cards are the Seven of Swords reversed and the Three of Wands. Now this might be a very shocking and surprising energy. This is where maybe Uranus, just freshly went retrograde, can have also massive implication. So it depends where Taurus is in your own personal chart, because this might be a very, very surprising moment for you guys. Now, it doesn't name which area of life it's going to specifically affect, but what it does show us, the Seven of Swords reversed, is that area of life, or maybe life in general, it can be also that, there are a lot of strings attached. What does that mean? It can mean compromises. It can mean that you depend from so very many different factors. People, for example, counsel, an authority, parents, partner, etc. You have moral obligations. Seven of Swords can represent official obligations, contracts binding you down, taking away your liberty. It can also represent moral duties, moral obligations, where it could be that your family, your parents, your friends, people very, very close to you are kind of suffocating you because they're very needy. Or simply it can represent that you're very, very unhappy. You feel suffocated, trapped, and enslaved by your social life. You no longer desire to be in those groups of people. You no longer desire to have those friends, those acquaintances. But this is where you can't really cut your ties, because how would you do that? Because there's a lot of ties to be cut. So you might need a very radical movement, a very radical choice to eliminate everything that is taking away your freedom and your liberty all at once. So, this is where, regardless of what that Seven of Swords reversed means, it can mean, for example, your marriage, your partnership, all of your friends, your family, your jobs, your colleagues, your managers, your superiors, other people who are active players in your career. It can also mean your local community. It can also mean your country. It can mean so very many things. But what you have in common is the strings attached, the compromises, the obligations. Of course, the obligations are two-sided, but if it's bothering you, if you're unhappy, if you feel suffocated, if you see the deception, manipulation, the ego, the impurity, the my way or the highway, the interest in everything, well, that can just simply depress you. Those people, or whatever that Seven of Swords depict, might necessarily not need to be negative or toxic at all. It is just your vision of it. You see it for what it truly is, and it simply doesn't resonate with who you are. So that is no one's fault. It is not their fault, because they're just usual people living their usual social lives. It doesn't even matter if it's a partnership, as I said, partnership or job, career, local community, contracts, etc. It can also be like a debt you have to repay. It can be like a household you share with others. It's no one's fault. Not their fault for the way they are, not your fault for being superior. And you have to be superior in order to be discomforted by the strings attached, because only a highly intelligent person would be irritated by that, because they will see the illusionary nature of all the relationships regardless of their nature. So the Three of Wands might represent a moment of maximum courage, ambition, determination, combined of course with a karmic help, but it is where your desire guides the hand of fate to give you like a surprise opportunity to escape all this situation all at once. So the Three of Wands can represent either a massive big opportunity that will just rip you away from everything that has strings or is biting you down or making you unhappy and uncomfortable. But it can also be a relocation, relocating to another country, another city, another local community, where you can just start something fresh and new, especially that area of life which had too many strings attached to it. And more importantly, the Three of Wands is a card which is fueled by ambition, determination, passion, and the key word here is belief. So it will be your position of power, because you will want to do it, You will feel very excited and passionate about this opportunity. You will have a lot of courage and self-confidence and all the inner interest in the world to go out, explore, do it, start something fresh and new, perhaps make new friends, or perhaps this is exactly it. Not to make new friends, just to live life for yourself until you feel comfortable to step out of your sacred solitude, so to speak, and make new friends. So, simply said, this is simply just offering you and helping you get the life that is most comfortable for you, because the Three of Wands is a card of ambition, of determination, desire, but your desires are not sky high. They're very, very realistic. They're truly custom fit for the person who you are. So they are based on deep self-knowledge, and that's why you can't really go wrong, because you know yourself, you know what makes you happy, you know what makes you unhappy. So that is why you can manage your life in order to achieve a state of balance where you can be truly happy. But how exactly this opportunity is going to enter your awareness is under a shroud of mystery. It may be a big surprise for you, but even though it is a surprise or a delightful help or guidance from the universe, it is still based on what you desire. So basically you're manifesting this in your life. So by all means, desire it and plant all those seeds of intention into the universe in the darkness of the new moon, because it is extremely fertile because of this grand fire trine. And also, if those strings attached, regardless of what nature they are, if they make you uncomfortable, unhappy, maybe a little bit frustrated, well, this is a perfect opportunity to use Pluto and just alchemize it into ambition to, make your will to succeed that much stronger, that much potent, that much magnetic, and it will work like a charm. And finally, we get to the fourth pile, and this is a kind of situation which me personally, in all my years of doing this, as in 20 years, I haven't seen anything like that. And that is exactly why I needed an extra card to give me an idea or to confirm what I was picking up on. Because as I said, I never saw this ever in my career as a spiritualist. I wasn't even sure what to make of it or how to interpret it or how to express it. So that's why this pile has actually 3 cards there to help me make some sense of it. So your cards are then the Wheel of Fortune, clarified by the Wheel of Fortune reversed, and then both clarified by the Emperor. Now, I'm not exactly sure how to express myself here, because apart from a spiritual perspective, I just couldn't interpret these cards. So what I'm about to say here is purely spiritual, but how, as above so below, how this will play out in physical life, this is where I'm really sorry, but I have not a clue. Now, these 2 Wheels of Fortune speak about your destiny, but this is where you might be someone who is living 2 destinies at the same time. One of the destinies that you're living is like a big adventure. It is like an adventure of discovery, exploration, study, and using your practical know-how and the power that you gain from your intellectual and spiritual, psychological research work. It gives you power to do so many things that you wish to do, that you wish to accomplish, that you wish to be part of. But the other one, the Wheel of Fortune reversed, represents that there's also a massive dark side here, like the parallel destiny that you're living, which is not very uplifting at all. It is a life of basically sacrifice, where one way or another, you're basically a martyr in every single area of your life, no matter where you go, what you do, what decisions, what choices, what action you take. You're basically trapped in that archetype of the martyr, of the self-sacrificial person. It is like it's kind of consuming you. And why you have this unusual situation, well, it must be because you took someone else's cross on yourself. It could be that maybe you saved the life of another person and that had this cost, or you might have, it might be some kind of soul contract that you signed, symbolically speaking, before you incarnated here. Or it could be that you're trapped in a kind of duality. You might be a dual sign, for example, a Gemini, Pisces, Libra, Aquarius has duality attached to it. So basically what I'm actually saying with this is that inside of you, you have so much potential, you have so much work, you have so much brilliance, pure brilliance, genius, divine strength inside of you, yet still, it's not that you're not aware of this, it's more than you're aware, you're actually working with this, you're doing amazing things that other people couldn't even dream about, yet still, your fate is so dark and twisted, and it's like an infinite torture, because it doesn't allow you to have any moment of breakthrough. Everything kind of defeats you in cycles. No matter how you try to overcome it, it's still keeping you trapped. And it doesn't matter while you're suffering that darker fate simultaneously with who you actually should be and how your life should be. May it be because you signed a soul contract, may it be because you did it out of compassion, you took someone's cross on you. Or it may be that you are inheriting this pattern from a previous existence and you couldn't forgive either yourself, your spirit, the universe, or whatever, that you became a martyr there in that timeline. It doesn't matter what causes it. This is a really, really good news, the Emperor. It's finally time to break the pattern. It is finally time to choose. And it is without a shadow of a doubt which version you're gonna choose. Because if you suffered really bad karma in the past 10 months, for example, or the past 2 years, it can be exactly because you were totally innocent, but this is how the universe tried its very hardest to motivate you to just take that cross off your shoulder, to reject the dark fate, to finally stand up and be the emperor of your destiny, of your fate, and say that I don't deserve this and I'm not gonna take this any longer. You might have been a very special kind of person who was rewarded for all your good deeds, your good actions, your compassion, altruism, where you ticked every single box on the good karma to-do list. You almost lived the life of a saint, and you were rewarded symbolically with the exact opposite. This was the message of the universe, trying to trigger your ego, your shadow self to awaken and finally aid you. Your shadow self might have been dormant, it might have been under a very, very deep sleep, where it just simply wasn't aware of what was truly going on with you, and it didn't really step up. But I think the universe awoke your shadow self, and this is where you cannot cross the line. When you do cross that line, you're gonna cross it by embodying your true destiny and just rejecting the parallel one, so to speak. So for you, it's gonna be like a massive breakthrough moment. It is gonna be like truly being reborn. And the price is quite cheap, if you ask me, because all it takes is for you to coexist with your shadow self, and that's about it. Of course, if you're a religious person, a very strong religious person, this will automatically translate by abandoning your religion, because that might be the cause of your darker fate. If you're a deeply spiritual person, who is an embodiment of all light and compassion, well then that chapter of your life ends for you, and you're gonna live a normal life. That doesn't mean rejecting spirituality, it actually means doing it in a very healthy way, where you're not living your past existence anymore. You're living 2020, the modern times. You're doing it the right way, as in a balanced way, where you're also in tune, with the modern times, basically. Because if you were a saint, well, 2020 is like a torture chamber for someone who embodies that archetype. So it would be foolish, unwise, unnecessary to do something, to follow a fate out of sheer ambition, or to try and foolishly fix your previous existence. This is where you're becoming the emperor, and that is the only way out of this duality. Now, how that happens, it is fated. So the Wheel of Fortune 2 times. It is like the two fates somehow fusing into one. May this be an inner awakening. May this be that person who you saved or whose cross you took on yourself, taking it back from you. May this be a mentor, a teacher, or a person kind of influencing you in all the right ways possible, determining you to finally embrace your true brilliance, to embrace all the gifts that the universe gave you and using them and not being ashamed of who you are. And this is where not being ashamed that you're infinitely superior to the average person. Or it could be like a lover, maybe not a long-term relationship kind of lover, but someone who simply awakes you to who you truly are, and from that moment onwards a totally different kind of fate, destiny awaits you. So for those of you who have chosen the fourth pile, your life is gonna change 180 degrees, but this is where it won't even resemble remotely the life that you are used to living. This is like a massive change. This is like almost like the external change, the changing of times, the fall of the old paradigm and the rising of the new that's going on in the world. That is almost like literally mirroring in your own life. So for you guys, as long as you're open-minded and spiritually mature enough to see the value and the necessity of the shadow in your life, in your existence, in your soul, in everything, well, that can represent the biggest miracle that ever happened to you personally. However, if you unwisely cling on to your religious beliefs or your one-sided spirituality, then it might not be such a favorable turn of events, because basically then you'll make your choice and that is the destiny that you're gonna live out. But I'm very, very sure for the vast majority of those who chose the fourth pile, it's gonna be the biggest miracle and turn of events that you couldn't have even dreamed of. This is where you're truly arising. It may have much to do that this new moon is conjunct Regulus, the star of the kings. So this might be your ascension, your true ascension in every single way, shape, or form possible. Well, this concludes your pick a card reading. I hope you found it useful. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, if you would like a personal reading, if you would like one of our advisors, of course of your choosing, to take a look at how this new moon or any other question that you have can play out in your life, feel free to log on to 1millionnights.com and give a chance to our advisors to help you and guide you. Thank you again for listening. Wish everyone a blessed and magical new moon. Until next time, bye for now.